Hello everyone and welcome to Wysiwyg Solutions Framework. Today I'll be teaching you how to navigate through the basic and more advanced components of our system. Basically, this is a system intended to enable non-well-versed users understand the constructs of the C programming language much easier, but with more emphasis on problem solving. So we have a few pages in the menu with a sub-menu presenting us with the ask question, view questions, support, and the tutorial page from which you actually are viewing this tutorial. So with the home page, that's pretty much self-explanatory, and the ask question page, this is where you can go to type in any sort of algorithmic problem you feel you have. All you have to do is input a question title. This is, as explained here, most likely a main idea or a topic or whatever the question is about, and then fill in the content in the next text area. The content is the more detailed part of the question. Then submit. Other pages like view questions, just for you to be able to view the questions that are available on the system. So far we've only submitted one question, and this is the available question. Every time you click on a question, you get presented with whether you can view solutions or attempt the question. In this case, there are no solutions yet, and therefore we cannot see any solutions when we go to view solutions. So I would take us through other pages then. The support page is pretty much where you should go to just read about the system, read about the necessities, and the rest of the non-mentioned things in this tutorial. Users, you want to see how many users are probably available on the system. Then contact, for those of you that want to just leave us a bit of feedback. These are the comments that you actually get to see on the first page here. Then log out, pretty much self-explanatory. So now we're going to the main idea of why we made the system. So the main navigation structure for this components page is at this point: the declare variable, expression, decisions, repetitions. Now if you have a bit of knowledge in the C programming language, you would understand what all these mean. And even if you don't actually have any knowledge in C programming, these headings are pretty much self-explanatory as long as you know basic math and have a bit of problem solving skills. So the beginning would be to declare a variable. In this case, you can declare a variable, say a. With declaring variables, you are presented with two options at the moment. You can input an initial value, say 34, or you can decide to prompt your users for input by checking this box right here, and then submit a comment. That is the first variable we have declared. When you want to see it, I would recommend that you click components again, just so you can refresh the page and be able to view the code down here. You can see float a 34. This is the variable you have just declared and given an initial value. You are also able to view your current code by clicking that right there. I could go back for you to see here, and then you can see what's going on right there. This is the comment you've just input, the variable a, and then its value. When you feel done with whatever you are doing, you can input a file name right here, and then submit. But for now, we are not yet done. We can go back, declare another variable. Now in this case, we can just declare a variable, say b, and not give it an initial value, or not even prompt users for input, but then just go ahead and make a comment. you're going to see how this kind of variable is presented to you in the system. And once again, please always just click that just so you can refresh your system. So right there, float b just declared, no initial value and no prompting users for input. All you have to do is just declare that variable like that, like shown before. You can also then lastly declare a variable which will prompt users for input. This is going to be variable c. We are not going to input an initial value, but we are going to go ahead and prompt input, and as always, leave a comment. Now comments, you're probably wondering, this might be nagging, but this helps you out in the end. You are going to be able to understand all your code. When you finally read it, it's going to be much easier. Once again, refresh comments and then view. So you can see the first variable we declared with giving it an initial value, which was 34a, then without giving it an initial value or even prompting users for input, and then the last one, which is prompting users for input. Now after declaring your variables, you would probably go ahead to make expressions or input decisions or repetitions. In this case, I'm going to show you all, but first beginning with expressions. So operands are going to be probably integers or even the variables that you have used before. Expressions, like you have probably seen, are equations or any other kinds of statements. So in this case, I can decide to use an integer 12 and add it to a variable that I already have used, say a, and then have an executable statement. Now this is a statement you would want to just see printed on the user's screen when they come across this expression. So for this case, I can say something like sum, and then always input a comment, and I can submit that expression. Refresh it, view the available code so far, and there we go. So when the user runs this program, they're going to be able to just see the sum of the integer 12 and the variable a. Maybe we can save it just so you can see what this is going to be like. I will save this as a sample. So now that we have submitted our code, we can decide to download our last submission or just go ahead doing other questions or other codes that we would like to do. So to download our last submission, that is why I click. Now you can see so far this is our last submission. At this point, this is our code. In some browsers, you would just be prompted to download immediately, but for this browser, you get to view it and then decide to save it. You can use the shortcut Ctrl+S and then save your program accordingly. It's a C++ source file, so when you save it, you can decide to open it at that point, or maybe you can decide to go on and compile it later on. But for the sake of time, I will not go into that. So I have finished declaring variables. I have finished expressions. You can look at decisions now and repetitions during the remaining time. Now this is pretty much the same thing, as long as you have an idea of a bit of C programming or mathematics and problem solving. This is a very, very easy to learn system. So we have two types of decisions, if and else if. So if a certain variable c is say less than another variable d, you can have that as your decision, which you can then decide to submit by starting the decision. in that same you can decide to have binary decisions. These are decisions like if A is greater than B. Now the binary section comes with a binary statement which is OR AND. For this case I'll use OR. B is greater than A, and then start that decision. Now when we want to end decisions or end a particular segment, all we have to do is click that and then start an alternative. An alternative is like you would say an else. Then we also have repetitions. We have two kinds, the for and while. The rest of this section is pretty much self-explanatory, but for the sake of some users, maybe I would have a counter declared, D, and giving it an initial value, say 1. Then decide what kind of sequence the loop should go with. Say I'm instead incrementing by adding, and then I state by how much do I want to add, say 1. And then when do I want the loop to stop? By choosing one of these, say less than or equals 2, meaning I want it to end at a point whereby the defined counter is less than or equal to 10. Then a comment, and now we can start our loop. You can also end the loop as seen here. You can choose any of these, whether it's a for or while loop. These loops pretty much work the same. And when you view the available code, you get to see these are the decisions that we have been messing with, all these things here. And that is all. For cases where you have decisions beginning with greater than and the other one, the last decision is a less than, you may find a few problems when it comes to the HTML. Like say if you have a less than and your binary decision is greater than, but be rest assured that these are resolved in our database. Thank you for watching this tutorial, and stay blessed.